Members, please take your seats. The chair recognizes Representative Giddings on a matter of personal privilege.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and members. I'm not sure what we did on local and consent this morning, and I sure don't know why we did what we did. And let me say before I begin that I have a very soft spot in my heart for children. It's my highest priority in this legislature. So if I shed a tear, it'll be okay, because I'm soft enough to cry when I think a child is hurting, but I'm tough enough to fight for them until hell freezes over. This morning, Mr. Kane and Mr. Rinaldi and Mr. Tenderholt and Mr. Strickland and Mr. Biederman knocked off House Bill 2159, which was intended to give some students relief from going hungry at lunch, to keep them from being embarrassed, to keep them from being labeled. That bill for those food insecure children deserved a debate on this House floor. And while I personally have never knocked a bill off local and consent in all of my years here, I know it is within our rules to collect 5 signatures or to talk for 10 minutes. And I respect a member's right to do that. However, to take the action that was taken on this floor today on this bill for hungry children was unconscionable. Some of the children this bill intended to help are from families just above the poverty line. Some are from families where a wage earner has perhaps lost a job or some other family emergency. Some are from a family where someone, for whatever reason, forgot to pay. Whatever the circumstance, we should not want these children to go without lunch. The bill simply asks school boards to set up a grace period of whatever time frame they deemed appropriate. It could be 1 day, it could be 2 days, it could be 2 weeks. But within that time frame, the bill asks that the child's parents be contacted and to try and determine whether or not that child might be eligible for a free or reduced lunch. It allowed them to set up a methodology to receive donations from kids in these circumstances. And I ask, what is so terrible about that? I have, since this bill became a news story, a letter from a principal, a Dr. Alston in Dallas, went to several schools when he heard this story and paid the lunch accounts for kids. One of the schools that he went to was Ardelia Creek Elementary on Ardelia Road in Dallas. And I won't read you the whole letter that he wrote to Dr. Alston, but he did say, on behalf of Ardelia Creek Elementary, we sincerely thank you for your generosity in helping to provide lunch for children who had no funds in their cafeteria account. With your donation, we were able to supplement the account of 36 children who are in arrears and put enough money in their accounts to feed them for at least a week. And this is signed by that principal, Michael Savage, and it's dated April the 26th. Let me tell you what happens now without this bill. A child goes through the cafeteria line, chooses a lunch, goes to the cashier, gives the cashier their pen, and in many school districts, if that account has no money, that lunch is taken It is thrown in the trash. That lunch is taken, it's thrown in the trash, often in the face of that child. Some of these children are as young as 4. And let me tell you, to those of you who believe that that's not true, I have the statement from a very brave teacher here, Kevin Holt, a teacher in the Copperas Cove School District, who said this, and I quote, "One of my 4-year-olds slid her meal tray down to the cashier in order to pay for her meal, but instead what she heard was an emphatic, 'You have no money,' followed by the removal of her meal tray. The student then sat at the table assigned to her class and was inconsolable for the next 20 minutes while her classmates enjoyed their meal." Teacher Kelvin Holt. Another teacher said, and this teacher is Christopher Robinson in the Houston area, "When I saw that, it just shook me. You get bullied for stuff like that." Not to mention what one of the students said. Dakota Gibson, who is a student in Spring Branch, said, "When it happened to me, I just wanted to go into a corner and hide." Now, the hot meal is thrown into the trash, and the student is given the equivalent of this milk, these crackers, and this cheese. And I ask you, how humane is that? And would you want that to happen to your child? What message are we sending that child? A message that you don't matter, that you have no value, that you have no worth. We have embarrassed that child, and we may be affecting how that child sees their value and their worth for the rest of their lives. I've talked to some members on this floor, and we're all privileged in here now, but some of us were all not always privileged. Some of us have been food insecure. For some legislators, what we do here on this floor, for me, seems to be an in-outside out game, a power play. There are a few people in this chamber who believe that they alone can transform Texas, and that's a political illusion. We need to take a reality check. These legislators, in my opinion, are not about searching for the truth and giving kids an equal chance. They're about winning at any cost, even when the cost results in a child going hungry. I don't know why you came to this Texas legislature, but my highest priority, as I said before, is to help our children reach their full potential. And while we may not all agree on this, I firmly believe that they are all our children. But for some folks here, it's about a primary. It's about a scorecard. It's about the spin. It's about the power. And let me just say that I am not confused. Everyone here is both powerful and privileged. How could you not be? Out of 26 million people in this state, the 150 of us have been chosen to lead in this Texas House. And so what are we going to do with that power and that privilege? What are we going to do about our children? We say many times in this house that we are servant leaders. Well, one of the questions that servant leaders always ask themselves, because of this action I am taking, will those I serve be happier? Will they be healthier? Will they be more autonomous? And perhaps most importantly, servant leaders ask themselves this question: will the least of those be no worse off because of this action I am taking? And I will tell you, because of the action that we took, children in Texas are going to be worse off. You and I and our families don't face hunger because we're privileged. But remember, there, but for the grace of God, go I. In the end, it ain't power, it ain't privilege that really defines us. It's character, it's kindness, it's love. Members, we can do better for our children. They deserve better. And I personally believe that the hottest places in hell are reserved for those who harm our children. And again, I think we've harmed our children today. And I close by saying, God bless all of the children of Texas today. And we especially ask that He bless those children who are hungry. Thank you, members.